Dr. Phil, and you have Dr. Eli live every Monday, or about every other Monday. And the fall, he tends to be here a bit more because it's cold and you all need his advice. Dr. Eli is here now. I told you a minute ago not to call for those cat cards, neutral zone gift certificate. We're going to take calls later. But you can email us and you can Facebook us.
I'm not neutral here, though. This is a U of L.
This is a U of L right here.
That's right.
But how
Kent
you
School
doing?
of Social Work.
And, the Cats Cards game can create tension in families.
Sure.
If
you're a house divided,
Yes.
Right.
I've seen articles written about that, and families that, some of them work it out pretty well. They literally just split the house down the middle. Half the house is red, half is blue, and others kind of create some of this.
They get into it. So luckily, my wife is from Chicago, so she doesn't care.
There you go.
Well, anyway, Dr. Eli's here. We're going to take phone calls, not for the Cats Cards gift certificate. That's coming up in a few minutes. But maybe you have stress with Cats Cards, and maybe you need to talk to Dr. Eli. But if you have a relationship problem, boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe your marriage is a little rocky. Well, Dr. Eli is here to answer your questions. 502-276-2118. We're also taking emails live at WBKI.tv, live at WBKI.tv. And we got one from Frank. Frank is sending us one from Louisville Live this morning, and Frank writes to Dr. Eli.
Frank says, I'm divorced but still care about my ex-wife's feelings. I'm moving on and have a new girlfriend. How long should I wait before I introduce her to my kids? Should I tell my wife before I make the introduction? We're good at being there for our kids, and I don't want to do anything to mess that up.
Wow.
Well,
Good
Frank
question,
sounds like
Frank.
a good guy, and he thinks things through.
Yeah, good question, Frank. You definitely want to tell your wife before you, your ex-wife, before you introduce your children to this new girlfriend. And your question was, how long should I wait? Well, I'd say generally, if you've dated this person for a while, there's no set rule of thumb, but this person should be sticking around. They should be a good influence on your kids, and you want to be able to tell your ex primarily so she can also help talk to your kids, normalize, not feel like you're kind of withholding from them. Because the best predictor of how kids from divorce turn out, we followed up from all this longitudinal research that follows kids from divorce years later, it says the co-parenting relationship is the most important thing. So, Craig and Julie, if you can stay on the same page with your ex, have similar expectations, and be able to communicate in the best interest of the kid, that's really important.
And that's such a common situation. I'm sure you hear a lot of that when people come to you for help. And, what suggestion would you give? I see so many people, I think they get into these new relationships and maybe they're so wrapped up in it, in that initial sort of honeymoon phase of a new relationship, and they feel like they're in love already, and they introduce the kids so quickly. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Which is confusing for the child. You introduce someone, you see that either your mom or dad is, you could feel, if you're the child, slighted, that maybe your mom and dad is spending so much time with this new person, but also maybe the child develops an attachment and really likes this new person, but the new person is not going to stick around. So you really have to be careful on that. You should not rush into that for sure.
Okay. You can send a mixed message to the kids. Dr. Eli is with us. Give us a phone call. 502-276-2118. Don't be afraid. He's confidential, but if you want to call up, he'll answer your question right now. Now's the time to answer it. Dr. Eli does quite a bit. He's from the Kent School of Social Work. He's a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I tell you, Julie, the resume is very strong here for people needing some assistance.
That's absolutely right. You can rest assured that when you go to see Dr. Eli, he knows what he's talking about. He's not just giving his opinion. He is well-trained, well-studied, president-elect of the Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapy, and you provide individual, couple, and family therapy. You can email your questions, as we've taken some here, and visit Dr. Eli's website, Karam.com, 749-8825. But the individual, couple, and family therapy, I think that's important for people to know, because sometimes they're a little confused. Does that mean I can go by myself if my spouse won't go?
Most marriage and family therapists, believe it or not, a national survey less than 10 years ago says they see about 50% individuals. And when you go to see an LMFT, whether me or someone else, it's about how you view someone in their relational context. So not just looking at you inside your head. We're looking at you in all of your contexts, what's going on in your important relationships, the family that you grew up in, your current family. We're looking at the whole systemic context of the person. So it's more of a way at looking at someone. And we're going to prioritize health and strength versus pathology or deficit.
Okay.
Taking your phone calls, 502-276-2118.
Donna in Louisville is on the line. Hi, Donna.
Hi.
Go ahead with your question for Dr. Eli.
I have a family member. In fact, I have two family members that have been consistently in drugs, pills mainly.
Okay.
And one, I'm close to both of them. And they're always needing things from me. One is my daughter. And, you know, I've lost 2 grandkids over this, and am so tired of dealing with her, I don't know what to do.
Well, Donna, it sounds like in a lot of ways you're in a classic pattern of really caring for someone but kind of struggling where you put your boundaries. So how can you help them without enabling them? So I think it's important for you and whoever else your daughter's support structure is to be very clear what you are willing to do and what you are not willing to do, and then helping them find a place. And generally with prescription medication or any kind of drug or alcohol addiction, especially if there's a huge physical component of the addiction, you need to get some outside help. And sometimes family support or talk therapy is enough. You need to get a place or to go to a rehabilitation facility where you can detox. And obviously, if you're used to giving your daughter what she needs, she's not going to willfully go for that. So you need a good family plan as far as what you're willing to do. And if you want some more ideas about that, you can certainly give me a call, or you can check out my website. But you need to be able to put a firm line down because you love your daughter.
Well, I was going to say, you could hear it in her voice. I know, Donna, you love your daughter very much,
Yeah.
and you're torn here. Can't you feel it? I mean, you can feel she's torn,
Right.
But you got to put your foot down. And
Right.
even if that means you got to boot her out of the household, it's tough sometimes, tough
Right.
love.
Well, Dr.
Exactly.
Eli, wouldn't you say that I think people in Donna's situation, as you said, they care so much for this person, but if you're letting it eat you up and get to the point where you can't help that person.
You can't.
If you don't help yourself first.
Exactly.
You know.
You can't. And also, you said you've lost some granddaughter or some grandchildren over this too. You're sending this message to this other generation too. So because you love your daughter, as I said, you need to do this. And even though it's hard, and even your daughter is not going to thank you in the moment, later on she will.
Taking your emails live at
Best of luck to Donna.
WBKI.tv and your phone calls, 502-276-2118, with Dr. Eli, the relationship and family therapist.
Another caller on the line, Rad, I believe, in Louisville. Hi there, Rad.
Hello?
Did we get your name correctly?
Yes, you sure did.
Okay, good.
I have a question. My wife and I have been divorced for about 17, 18 years, but she's my absolute best friend, and I'm hers. Neither one of us remarried. We've got children and grandchildren, but it seems to have a problem when I'm trying to not date other women, but they can't understand the relationship that her and I have at family functions and stuff. We get along just great, and it kind of bothers me that they think there's my goodness, we beat each other's throat. We're still married, but we're just the best of friends, and we always will be. And just have a hard problem. Just seems like 2 or 3 months, you meet somebody, they go, well, I just can't believe you went there, or you went over here, and you went to see the grandkid, or you went to that party, or you went to it just gets real confusing for us.
All right.
Well, I think it's a great thing that you, Rad, that you are friends with your spouse, even all these years after a divorce. And we think of most divorces as contentious and these fiery foes, again, not getting along, fighting through the children. The fact that you get along with her is great. And I think any woman you bring into your life, or any kind of dating partner that you or your ex has, they need to understand that that is a good relationship and it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's anything you should hide through, as long as the boundaries are clear with you and your new partner or your ex-wife's partner. So you can be friendly, you can go to functions, you can do things to the kids, but if someone new on the scene in your dating life, it would be natural for them to be intimidated and to be kind of confused by that. But as long as you're clear what the boundary is as long as everything is on the level, it shouldn't be anything you run from or feel bad about.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, Donna or Rad or anybody else who's listening out there right now, they need some help. Let's tell you a little bit about Dr. Eli, because he deals with conflict. He deals with couples with intimacy problems, recovering from infidelity, drugs, alcohol, the list is
Everything,
long.
family boundaries and communication, blended families, as we've talked about, co-parenting techniques. That's a really big one in today's society. Give him a call, 749-8825. And again, log on to the website, elikaram.com. And Dr. Eli, you also have a blog, is that correct?
Sure, we'll post all kinds of stuff on there. And again, if you guys are listening out there, you need help, we'll find someone to get it for you, even if you can't see me. Check it out.
right.
Thanks so much. Love having you on.
Dr.
every week.
Eli, elikaram.com. Go to his website. Thanks for your calls. When we come back, computer, viruses, and more.